The city of New Terra buzzed with activity, its towering skyscrapers shimmering under the artificial sun. Humanity had come a long way since the early days of space exploration. Now, Earth was no longer alone in the universe. Alien ambassadors walked among humans, their strange forms blending into the crowded streets. It was an era of diplomacy, trade, and uneasy alliances, all necessary for survival as Earth's resources dwindled. Eli Carter stood at the edge of the observation deck inside the Valith Embassy, staring out at the vast expanse of water below. The embassy floated deep beneath the ocean's surface, a marvel of engineering that combined human and alien technology. Light filtered through the translucent walls, casting rippling shadows across the room. Eli adjusted his collar nervously. Today was the day he would meet her, the one who could change everything. For weeks, Eli had been negotiating with the enigmatic Valith, an aquatic species known for their reclusive nature and incredible advancements in terraforming technology. Their ability to transform barren planets into thriving ecosystems made them invaluable allies. But the Valith were not easy to deal with. They spoke little, preferring telepathic communication over words, and rarely showed their true forms. Rumors swirled about their appearance. Some said they glowed like stars. Others claimed they looked like living coral reefs. All Eli knew for sure was that they were unlike anything humanity had encountered before. A soft hum filled the air, pulling him from his thoughts. Turning around, Eli saw her, or rather, glimpses of her. She moved gracefully, draped in flowing veils of bioluminescent fabric that shifted colors with every step. Her skin shimmered faintly, translucent yet impenetrable, hiding whatever lay beneath. This was Syra, the ambassador's daughter, and his counterpart in these negotiations. Eli Carter, she said, not aloud, but directly into his mind. Her voice was calm, melodic, and carried an otherworldly warmth. You've done well to bring us this far. Eli swallowed hard, trying to steady himself. Thank you, Syra. I only hope we can reach an agreement beneficial to both our peoples. She tilted her head slightly, studying him with eyes that seemed to hold galaxies within them. Agreements are fragile things, she replied. But bonds endure. Before Eli could respond, the room brightened as holographic constellations appeared above them, swirling like a cosmic dance. It was time for the ceremony. Representatives from both sides gathered, watching silently as Eli and Syra exchanged vows. For the humans, it was a political alliance, a symbolic gesture to secure access to Valith technology. For the Valith, however, it meant something deeper, though Eli didn't fully understand what yet. As they sealed the union with a gesture, a touch of hands glowing softly with light, Eli felt a strange mix of emotions. Excitement, yes, but also unease. What exactly had he agreed to? And why did Syra keep herself partially hidden, even now? When the ceremony ended, Syra turned to him once more. Tonight marks the beginning of something extraordinary, she said, her tone cryptic. Are you ready? Eli forced a smile, though doubt lingered in his chest. I suppose I'll find out soon enough. Little did he know, his life, and the fate of two worlds, was about to change forever. The Valith vessel hummed softly as it glided through the void of space, its sleek design reminiscent of a living organism rather than a machine. Eli sat by a large viewport, gazing out at the swirling colors of a distant nebula. The journey to Thalassara, Syra's homeworld, had begun just hours ago, but already he felt miles away from everything familiar. The ship was unlike anything he'd ever seen. Its walls pulsed faintly with light, and strange melodic tones echoed through the corridors, almost like the heartbeat of some great creature. Syra floated gracefully into the room, her movements fluid and deliberate. She still wore her bioluminescent veils, though they shimmered more brightly now, reflecting the energy of the stars outside. How are you adjusting? She asked, her voice resonating gently in his mind. Eli hesitated before answering. It's different, he admitted. I've traveled before, but never like this. Your people's technology, It feels alive. Syra nodded, her translucent skin glowing faintly. That is because it is alive, in a sense. Our ships are grown, not built. They share our connection to water and life itself. Her words intrigued Eli, but they also left him with more questions. He gestured toward her veils. Why do you keep yourself covered? I mean, no offense, but isn't marriage supposed to be about trust and openness? Syra paused, her expression unreadable. My veils are part of who I am. A tradition, a protection, a promise. There will come a time when I reveal myself fully, but that moment must align with the tides. Her tone carried a weight Eli couldn't quite grasp. Patience, Eli. All will become clear. Over the next few days, Eli tried to learn as much as he could about the Valeth. Their culture fascinated him. They lived in harmony with their environment, drawing strength from the oceans of Thalassara. Every action they took seemed guided by a philosophy they called flowing unity, a belief that all things were interconnected. It was beautiful in theory, yet Eli couldn't shake the feeling that there was something beneath the surface, something they weren't telling him. One evening, while exploring the ship, Eli stumbled upon a chamber filled with glowing orbs suspended in midair. Each orb contained what looked like tiny ecosystems, miniature worlds teeming with life. As he reached out to touch one, a crew member appeared, his form shifting between humanoid and something far less solid. These are fragments of Thalassara, the Valeth explained telepathically. They remind us of home. Eli stared in awe. Your planet sounds incredible. It is, the crew member replied. But it demands respect. Not everyone can survive its depths or its truths. The comment lingered in Eli's mind long after he returned to his quarters. What did it mean? Was Syra hiding something dangerous? Or was it simply part of her culture, too alien for him to comprehend? Finally, after weeks of travel, the ship approached Thalassara. Through the viewport, Eli saw a breathtaking sight. A planet almost entirely covered in glowing turquoise oceans, dotted with floating cities made of organic materials that shimmered like pearls. It was unlike any world he'd ever imagined. As they descended into the atmosphere, Syra joined him once more. Welcome to my home, she said softly. Prepare yourself, Eli. Thalassara has many wonders, and many secrets. Eli nodded, though his stomach churned with anticipation. Whatever awaited him on this mysterious planet, he knew one thing for certain. Nothing would ever be the same again. The moment Eli stepped off the Valeth vessel, he felt a rush of cool, salty air envelop him. They had landed on one of Thalassara's floating cities, a sprawling metropolis made entirely of organic materials that seemed to breathe and shift beneath his feet. The ground pulsed faintly, as though alive, and the buildings around him glowed with soft, bioluminescent light. It was beautiful, surreal, and slightly unnerving all at once. Syra led him through winding pathways lined with flowing streams of water that cascaded down smooth, translucent walls. Everywhere Eli looked, Valeth moved gracefully, their forms shimmering like liquid glass. Some greeted Syra warmly, bowing their heads in respect, while others stared curiously at Eli, their glowing eyes unreadable. He couldn't help but feel out of place, like a stranger stepping into a dream. This way, Syra said, her voice calm and steady in his mind. There is much to do before tonight. Tonight? Eli asked, his voice tinged with unease. What happens tonight? Syra didn't answer directly. Instead, she guided him toward a grand structure at the heart of the city. Its entrance resembled an enormous shell, spiraling inward like a vortex. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of salt water and something else, something sweet and floral. The room they entered was vast, filled with pools of glowing liquid and intricate carvings etched into the walls. Symbols danced across the surfaces, shifting and changing as if alive. You must undergo purification, Syra explained, gesturing toward one of the pools. It is tradition for those entering our world, and essential for what lies ahead. Eli hesitated. The pool's surface shimmered invitingly, but he couldn't shake the feeling that this ritual was more than just ceremonial. "What does it involve?" he asked cautiously. "It cleanses your spirit," Syra replied. "Trust me, Eli, you will emerge stronger." With no other choice, Eli removed his shoes and stepped into the pool. The water was warm and surprisingly light, almost weightless, as though it defied gravity. As he sank deeper, he felt a strange sensation, not discomfort, but clarity, as if the water itself was whispering secrets to him. Memories flooded his mind, moments from his childhood, fragments of conversations, dreams long forgotten. For a brief instant, he thought he heard voices, soft, melodic tones singing in harmony, but when he focused, they'd vanished. When he emerged, dripping but invigorated, Syra smiled faintly. "You see, the waters of Thalasara hold power beyond measure." As the day wore on, Eli learned more about Valith customs. He watched as dancers performed rituals celebrating unity, their movements fluid and hypnotic. Musicians played instruments that sounded like waves crashing against rocks, filling the air with haunting melodies. Throughout it all, Syra remained by his side, guiding him patiently. But there were still moments when Eli caught glimpses of her true self, or parts of it. Her veils occasionally shifted, revealing intricate patterns etched onto her skin that glowed faintly in the dim light. Each time, she quickly covered herself again, leaving Eli even more curious. Finally, as evening approached, Eli confronted her. "Why do you keep hiding?" he asked bluntly. "If we're married now, shouldn't I know who you really are?" Syra's expression softened, but there was a sadness in her eyes. "Some truths are best revealed in their own time," she said gently. "Tonight, Eli, you will understand everything." Her words sent a shiver down his spine. Whatever awaited him, he knew it would change him forever. The water rose quickly, filling the chamber until Eli and Syra were completely submerged. Panic surged through him for a brief moment. His instincts screamed at him to fight, to escape. But then something extraordinary happened. He could breathe. The water didn't choke him. Instead, it felt like air, cool and weightless, flowing effortlessly into his lungs. His body tingled as if every cell was awakening to a new reality. Syra floated before him, her form beginning to shift. Her skin shimmered brighter, pulsing with an inner light that illuminated the entire chamber. The intricate patterns etched onto her body expanded, glowing like rivers of starlight. Her translucent veil dissolved entirely, revealing her true self, a being of fluid grace, her edges blurring as though she were part liquid, part light. Eli reached out instinctively, his hand brushing against hers. The moment their fingers touched, a surge of energy coursed through him. It wasn't painful, but it was overwhelming. An intense wave of sensations, emotions, and images flooding his mind. He saw flashes of Thalasara's vast oceans, teeming with life. Schools of bioluminescent fish darted past coral structures that pulsed with vibrant colors. He felt the rhythm of the tides, the gentle pull of currents weaving together in harmony. But it didn't stop there. Syra's consciousness merged with his, opening doors to memories and knowledge far beyond human comprehension. He saw her childhood spent swimming through endless underwater cities, learning the sacred duties of a tide mother. He felt her joy during moments of unity with her planet, and her sorrow when she had to leave parts of herself behind to fulfill her role. Then came the transformation. Syra's body began to dissolve, her physical form melting into streams of radiant energy. The light wrapped around Eli, encircling him like ribbons of starlight. He tried to speak, to ask what was happening, but words failed him. Instead, he surrendered to the experience, allowing himself to be carried by the current. As the light enveloped him, Eli felt his own sense of self begin to blur. His thoughts intertwined with Syra's, their minds becoming one. He no longer knew where he ended, and she began. Together, they flowed outward, expanding beyond the confines of the chamber, beyond the floating city, until they became part of Thalassera itself. For what felt like hours, or perhaps mere seconds, Eli existed in this state of pure connection. He sensed the heartbeat of the planet, slow and steady, echoing through the depths of its oceans. He understood now why the Valith revered water so deeply. It wasn't just a resource or a habitat. It was life incarnate, a living force that bound everything together. Through Syra's eyes, he saw Earth too, not as it was, but as it could be. Deserts bloomed into lush forests, barren lands transformed into thriving ecosystems. This vision filled him with hope, yet it also weighed heavily on his heart. Such miracles required sacrifice, and he now realized the cost of their union. By joining with Syra, he would forever be tied to Thalassera, sharing in its cycles of renewal and rebirth. When the light finally began to recede, Eli found himself back in the chamber, still submerged in water. Syra reformed beside him, her presence steadier now, though her glow remained brighter than before. She looked at him with eyes full of both love and sorrow. "You understand now," she said softly, her voice resonating in his mind. "This is who I am, and who we are together." Eli nodded slowly, his chest tight with emotion. He had entered the night expecting mystery, but what he experienced was transcendence. And though fear lingered in the corners of his mind, so did awe. Whatever lay ahead, he knew one thing for certain. He would never see the world, or himself, the same way again. The first light of Thalassera's twin moons filtered through the translucent walls of the floating city, casting shimmering reflections across the water. Eli stood on a balcony overlooking the endless turquoise oceans, their waves glowing faintly as though infused with stardust. Beside him, Syra gazed out at the horizon, her luminous patterns softer now but still radiant. For the first time since their arrival, she seemed at peace. Eli took a deep breath, feeling the cool ocean breeze against his skin. His mind was clearer than it had been in days, though echoes of their shared transformation lingered within him. He could still feel the pull of Thalassera's tides, faint but constant, like a heartbeat thrumming in sync with his own. It was strange, alien, and yet somehow comforting. "Do you ever miss Earth?" Eli asked suddenly, breaking the silence. The question had been weighing on him since the night before. Syra tilted her head slightly, considering his words. "I have never been to Earth," she replied gently, "but I know its struggles, its hopes, its potential. Through you, I feel its essence too." Her answer surprised him. Until now, he'd thought of himself as the outsider here, the one adapting to an unfamiliar world. But hearing Syra speak of Earth as if it were part of her made him realize how deeply their bond had transformed them both. They weren't just two individuals anymore. They were a bridge between worlds. "We'll go back soon," Eli said, more to himself than to her. "Back to Earth. There's so much work to do, so many people who won't understand what we've done here." Syra nodded knowingly. "Change is rarely easy," she said. "But remember this. Fear fades when faced with understanding. Show them what we've built together, not just trees or technology, but trust. That is where true unity begins." Her words gave him strength. As daunting as the task ahead felt, he knew she was right. Humanity would resist at first, perhaps even reject the idea of such an intimate alliance with an alien species. But over time, they would see the benefits, the restored ecosystems, the rebirth of dying lands. And maybe, just maybe, they would come to embrace the connection. As the morning sun rose higher, painting the sky in shades of gold and lavender, Eli turned to face Syra. "Thank you," he said simply, his voice steady, "for trusting me, for showing me everything." She smiled softly, her eyes filled with warmth. "And thank you, Eli. Without your courage, none of this would be possible." Together, they watched as Thalassera's seas sparkled beneath the light, alive with movement and energy. In that moment, Eli understood the deeper meaning of their union. It wasn't just about saving Earth or preserving Thalassera. It was about creating something new, something greater than either world alone. Their bond was proof that differences didn't have to divide. They could unite instead. When it was time to leave, Eli stepped aboard the Violet vessel with a renewed sense of purpose. Syra accompanied him, her presence a reminder of all they had shared, and all they would continue to share. As the ship ascended into the stars, Eli looked out at the receding planet, feeling a pang of longing mixed with hope. He didn't know what challenges awaited them on Earth, but he was ready. Together, they would forge a future where humanity and the Violet stood side by side, a testament to the power of unity and love. And as the tides aligned once more, Eli knew that no matter where life took them, he and Silra would always flow as one. As the sun, or rather, Thalassara's twin moons, began to set, casting an ethereal glow over the floating city, Eli found himself seated at a long, curved table made of smooth, translucent material. The room was alive with soft, pulsating lights that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. Around him sat Syra's family, their forms shifting subtly between humanoid shapes and amorphous silhouettes. They communicated telepathically, their thoughts overlapping in a symphony of whispers that Eli could only partially decipher. Syra sat beside him, her presence calming yet enigmatic. She wore fewer veils now, revealing more of her glowing skin etched with intricate patterns that shimmered like constellations. Despite her openness, parts of her remained concealed beneath layers of iridescent scales that shifted like liquid glass. Eli couldn't help but wonder what she was hiding, and why. The meal was unlike anything he'd ever experienced. Instead of solid food, they consumed glowing orbs of energy suspended in small, crystal-like containers. Each orb tasted different, some sweet, others tangy or savory, but all carried a sense of vitality that left Eli feeling energized and oddly connected to the world around him. As the dinner progressed, Eli overheard fragments of conversation among Syra's family. One word kept recurring. Asterisk, titmother asterisk. At first, he dismissed it as some cultural title, but when he noticed Syra's reaction, a fleeting look of both pride and sorrow, he grew curious. "What does Tidemother mean?" Eli asked quietly, leaning toward her. Syra hesitated, her luminous eyes meeting his. "It is a role," she said finally, "a sacred duty bestowed upon a chosen few. Are you one of them?" Eli pressed, his voice barely above a whisper. For a moment, Syra didn't respond. Then, with a deep breath, she nodded. "Yes, I am a Tidemother." Eli frowned, confusion clouding his mind. "What does that mean? What do you do?" Syra's gaze softened, but there was a heaviness in her expression. Tidemothers are guardians of Thalassara's oceans. We channel the planet's energy, sustaining its ecosystems and maintaining balance. But this comes at a cost. To fulfill our role, we undergo transformations, profound changes that connect us to the planet itself. Her words sent a chill down Eli's spine. Transformations? Like what? Syra paused, choosing her words carefully. When two beings form a bond as deep as marriage, their connection can trigger these transformations. For me, it means merging with the tides, becoming one with Thalassara's currents. It is beautiful, but also overwhelming. Eli's heart raced. "You're saying tonight, our first night together, will cause this transformation?" "Yes," Syra admitted, "but it is not just mine. You will be part of it too." Eli stared at her, his mind reeling. "Part of it? How?" Syra reached out, her hand brushing his. Her touch was cool but comforting. "Through our union, you will share in my connection to Thalassara. You will see the truth of who we are, not just as individuals, but as part of something greater." Eli wanted to ask more, but before he could, the room fell silent. Syra's family rose gracefully, bowing their heads in unison. It was time. Syra took Eli's hand and led him out of the dining hall, her grip firm yet gentle. As they walked through the glowing corridors, Eli felt a mix of fear and anticipation. Whatever awaited him, He knew it would be far beyond anything he had imagined. When they reached a secluded chamber deep within the city, Sci-Fi turned to face him. Her veils dissolved into light, revealing her fully for the first time. Her body shimmered with radiant energy, her skin covered in swirling patterns that pulsed with life. She was breathtaking and terrifying. "Are you ready, Eli?" she asked, her voice echoing in his mind. Eli swallowed hard, his voice trembling. "I don't know if I am, but I trust you." With those words, the chamber filled with water, surrounding them completely. And as the transformation began, Eli realized he was about to witness and become part of something truly extraordinary. When Eli finally emerged from the water, his body felt lighter, as though it had been stripped of its limitations. His mind buzzed with fragments of visions he couldn't fully comprehend yet. A kaleidoscope of stars, oceans, and infinite connections. Sci-Fi stood beside him, her form stabilized once more, but radiating a quiet power that seemed to hum in harmony with the planet around them. The chamber was silent now, save for the gentle lapping of water against its curved walls. Eli's clothes clung to him, damp but oddly warm, as if infused with the energy of Thalassarah itself. He looked at Sci-Fi, searching for words to express what he'd just experienced, but none came. How could he describe something so vast, so otherworldly? "You saw it," Sci-Fi said softly, breaking the silence. Her voice in his mind carried both reassurance and reverence. "You felt Thalassarah's heartbeat." Eli nodded slowly, still processing everything. I didn't just see it. I felt it. Everything. The tides, the life, the balance. It's all connected. And you're part of it." Sci-Fi smiled faintly, her glowing patterns dimming slightly as she stepped closer. "Not just me. We are all part of it. Every Valeth, every creature on this planet. We share its essence. But Tide Mothers like me serve as conduits, ensuring the flow never falters." Eli's gaze drifted downward, his thoughts swirling. "And now, I'm part of it too." "Yes," Sci-Fi replied, her tone unwavering. "Through our bond, you've become intertwined with Thalassarah's currents. You may not feel it fully yet, but over time, you will come to understand your new role." Her words sent a shiver down his spine. A new role. What did that mean exactly? Would he lose pieces of himself, his humanity, to this alien connection? The thought frightened him, but another part of him, the part still resonating with the echoes of their shared consciousness, felt a strange sense of purpose. "I need to know more," Eli said firmly, meeting her eyes. "What does this mean for me, for us?" Sci-Fi hesitated before responding. She gestured toward the glowing walls of the chamber, where faint images began to form, holographic projections of Earth. Barren landscapes transformed into lush forests. Deserts bloomed with vegetation. Rivers carved through dry plains. It was breathtaking, hopeful, and haunting. "This is why we united," Sci-Fi explained. "Your world is dying, Eli. Without intervention, humanity's future is uncertain. But through our bond, and the alliance between our peoples, you can help bring renewal to Earth. My people's technology, combined with your leadership, can restore balance." Eli stared at the projections, his heart pounding. The possibilities were staggering, but so were the responsibilities. "At what cost?" he asked quietly. "I mean, what happens to me, to you?" Sci-Fi's expression softened, tinged with sadness. "For me, the transformation continues. Each cycle brings me closer to Thalassarah's core, until one day I may dissolve entirely into its currents. For you, the journey will be different. You will remain human, but forever change. Your perspective, your understanding of life, it will expand beyond anything you've known." Eli absorbed her words, his emotions warring within him. Fear, awe, gratitude. They collided in a storm of conflicting feelings. Yet amidst the turmoil, one truth stood clear. He couldn't turn back. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about two worlds, bound together by hope and sacrifice. Taking a deep breath, Eli reached out and took Syra's hand. Her touch was cool but steady, grounding him. "Then let's do this," he said, his voice firm despite the uncertainty lingering in his chest. "Whatever it takes." Syra's glow brightened momentarily, a flicker of pride crossing her features. "Together," she whispered, sealing their resolve. As they left the chamber, Eli felt a shift within himself, not physical, but profound. He was no longer just a diplomat or a representative of Earth. He was something more, something greater. And whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew he wouldn't face them alone.